What's going on, everyone? In addition to my review of Alien Covenant, I also wanted to do an analysis video on the character of David, being that I thought he was the most pivotal character in the entire film, and I felt like he was definitely the most complex and had the most layers that could be peeled back. So I figured I would dedicate an entire video to analyzing his character. So let's get to it. I touched on this in my review of Covenant, but this particular scene, which just so happens to be the opening scene, I feel like is obviously a very crucial scene for the character of David, not only for him, but building the entire storyline and plot of the film, but especially for David himself, being that during his conversation with Weyland, he actually he comes to this realization that he is better than humans in the sense that he has an infinite amount of time. He has longevity on his side. So he has the endless ability to attain knowledge, to attain skills, to attain all of these things that a regular human being is unable to, in their 70, 80 years of life if they're lucky. So I think this is where we can really start to see David transform into more of a humanoid or human-like character once he's come to this realization. Moving along to, I guess, the scenes involving him and Shaw, I feel like this scene was particularly important as well, or this type of prologue. I don't believe that this shot was actually in the film, but it was a prologue that was out there on the internet. This is such a fascinating scene to me. It's because Shaw is, rebuilding David, putting his head back on, and she's putting in the time and, enough care to, rebuild him. And in the moment, he seems so incredibly appreciative, but at the same time, there's something deviant going on. You can see it in his eyes. You just know that once he's back up and running, you know that he's got something else planned, which of course he does. So I think the fact that we learned that he ultimately was the one that killed Shaw, I think that really spoke to the fact that he has really transformed into this, just this, such a evil type thing. He kept talking about, how much he loved Shaw and cared for her and appreciated her. Yet he murdered her. And then on top of that, once they arrive at the engineer's planet, he doesn't even, there's not even an exchange of words. And in just a moment, he's wiped out an entire species, if I can say that correctly. Just the fact he lands the ship and he had just unleashes the virus, and he just wipes out an entire planet without a second thought. It's just such an interesting dynamic that he was let down by humans, and I think because he knew that the engineers created the humans, I think that he was almost motivated to, I guess, destroy the creators of what had let him down, if that makes any sense. So I think, yeah, like I said, it would just without a second thought, he just wipes out an entire planet, which is just absolutely ruthless. I think the scene, which everyone has been talking about, the flute scene between him and Walter, is obviously a bit strange, but I feel like it was kind of showing that David was, I guess, posturing or maybe showing Walter that you might supposedly be a superior model to me, but now I can play music and I can do these things that you'll never be able to do. And he has a higher conscious and a higher awareness, I guess, of the arts and things of that nature. So I feel like the flute scene was actually very important to the character building of David and just showing how quickly he has advanced and how his abilities have just grown tenfold since we saw him in the last film. And I also touched on this in my review of Covenant, but I think the fact that David was the one that rescued the crew, I think it obviously would have been a good opportunity to reintroduce Shaw, being a hero and being the one to pass on the knowledge and help the crew member and the crew members in their time of need. Obviously that would have been a more feel-good way of going about it, but obviously I think Ridley Scott purposefully had David be the one to come across him and now be the one that holds the knowledge, the one that holds the power, the one that the crew needs, as they're lost, as they don't know what's going on. So it's quite an intriguing dynamic to now have this cybernetic organism that, man created now all of a sudden being the one that man has relied on. So, and then, eventually him creating the xenomorphs and all of that. It's just so fascinating me that the created ultimately has become the creator. And I think that that's really the whole purpose of the character David, and he's definitely one of the most incredible science fiction characters that I've ever come across. I can't wait to see him more in future films, and we leave him at the end, and he's in control. He's almost become the god in control of these people. So, quite an interesting character, no doubt.